My name is Yelman Ainsworth. I'm here at the front of the West End, West Melbourne project. Rob is delivering this $300 million project, 500 apartments, 6,000 square meters of retail and office space, plus an Edina hotel with 99 rooms. Rob's going to talk us through what it's like delivering a project this size in this market and how he's got through each and every obstacle, including leasing the retail off the plan. I'm really excited to take this series to the next level and start getting some developers to talk to us through what they're doing and how they're doing it. Hi, my name is Yelman Ainsworth. I'm here with Robert Dicintio of the Trenerry Group, and we're on the rooftop of his project West End, West Melbourne. The Trenerry Group is a consortium of Robert Dicintio, the Victor Smorgon Group, and the Canat family. It's a $300 million mixed-use project in West Melbourne, which our team have had the privilege to work on the 4,000 square meters of retail. Rob, thank you very much for participating in this. You've really helped us evolve the Retail Revolution series, going from hospitality to retailers and now to developers. So we don't know where to take this series from here. We've really hit the ceiling with you. And
perhaps you should interview the Prime Minister next.
He won't return our calls, but he has a stack of letters. I'm not surprised. That's all right, we'll get to him. Nevertheless, Rob's going to talk to us about what it's like to deliver a $300 million project in the middle of arguably a pretty bad pandemic, which is affecting everything and everyone in Australia, not to mention Melbourne right now, right here, and how you navigate all the normal challenges of a project in addition to this. Everything from the retail, the delivery, managing your retail leasing agents, which would be probably the easier of all the challenges you're dealing with, I'd assume. And also settlement, which we'll get into. So Rob, thank you very much for participating in this. We're standing here on West End, West Melbourne, and we're in the middle of COVID. How are you getting around all the obstacles of a normal project, let alone with COVID wrapped on top of that?
Well, Zalman, I've been in this business 30 years, and there's not a week goes by that I'm not learning something new. And this is a very interesting time for us. But look, COVID's one of many issues we've faced in this latest cycle. We've had that the increase in stamp duty for off-the-plan sales, increase in construction prices, and obviously that Banking Royal Commission, which added to our cost base in funding the construction. But with COVID, it's really three-phase sort of impact for us. We had a procurement issue that we had to manage
that was
out
earlier
of China.
This year?
Yep, out of China, because we had joinery we had to get here.
How'd you get around that issue?
A lot of phone calling, a lot of begging, that sort of thing. Because us developers, we beg when we need to beg. And then we obviously had that Australian COVID issue, and now we've got this Melbourne issue. So, you know, it's all very interesting and just adds to the spice.
When did you purchase this? When did you purchase this site in West Melbourne?
December 2016.
And was this your vision back then of what this would look like?
Yeah, so we bought this site, which is about a hectare, and the vision for the property was basically we wanted to, we sort of like looked at all the best places to live in Melbourne, and you know, we identified places like Elwood and Windsor, South Yarra, Richmond, Carlton, Fitzroy. And one of the common elements that they all enjoy as areas to live in is the diversity of the demographic. So essentially that diversity of demographic really was the foundation for our entire master plan. So to get a diversity of demographic, you had to have many different architects doing different buildings. You know, it was quite a fundamental point of difference that we had to offer, and that is that, you know, there was no point doing 500 apartments all looking the same. Right. So if we wanted to attract high net worths, students, you know, a lot of industry people, various sociographic profiles, we had to have buildings that look different with different interiors.
So there's about 4 buildings on this site?
There's 5 buildings.
5 buildings on the site,
and a podium level, which is as big as a building. So you could almost consider it 6 buildings almost.
And each of them have a different identity, different design.
Yeah, so each one has a different identity to attract a different demographic, yes.
And that's come out of having 10 architects working on one project?
Well, there are many different architects, some that have left us and some that we've replaced with. that's what developers do.
What I love about you the most, and it wasn't an easy conclusion, but I've come to the conclusion that you started out as a retail leasing agent. I know you call yourself a center manager, but I like to think of it as a retail leasing agent. And back in the
I call myself a retail planner, really.
You leased Melbourne Central back in the 90s when Daimaru left that center. Okay. You've also done retail leasing for other centers like Greensboro.
Greensboro, Dandenong, Parkmore, Churnside.
How did you end up standing on the roof of a $300 million project 20 years later? Talk us through your career plan, and was this all how you planned it out to be? Because most retail leasing agents don't end up here.
Well, I started off in finance actually, Zalman, as a merchant banker, worked for Standard & Poor's. Then I went into property. I found my calling in property. So I just love the idea of coming up with something new, trying to reflect what the market needs. And then, you know, ideas are history if you don't execute them well. So then, you know, in the development business, it's all about detail.
Can you tell the viewers about your first day working as a retail leasing person for Lend-Lease? Because I think this story has a lot of underlying messages.
I was employed by one of the legends of our industry, John Schroeder, who basically employed me as a research analyst. I turned up to the office.
Sorry, what year is this?
I think around 89. And I turned up to the office on my first day because I hated banking. And John was going to employ me as a centre manager, but he gave that job to someone else. But he said, I still want to employ you, so you can start off as a research analyst. So I turned up to work, and then they said, listen, you need to go to Greensboro Plaza. They're expecting you there. So I went off to Greensboro Plaza. It turned out to be a PCG. And what had happened there was that the previous leasing guy had left, and they didn't want to have a PCG without a project leasing manager. When I turned up to the centre manager's office, John said, listen, you're no longer a research analyst, you're project leasing manager at Greensboro Plaza. And I said to John, you know, what exactly is leasing? And he said, don't worry about it, you'll learn. And he said, but all you do is when John Morshell says, how's the leasing going? Just say it's going well.
That's what we still do today.
So about 2.5 hours later, I was asked the question because John Morshell was busy to catch his plane back to Sydney, and he asked me the question, young fella, how's the leasing going? I said, well. Anyway, the meeting ended and everyone was very impressed with my performance that day. And that's how I got into leasing.
The last 30 years in retail or in property, how has retail changed?
The appearance of retail changes continuously, but look, the key fundamentals of retail planning really haven't changed that much, and that is you've got to really, when you're doing a retail plan, it's all about creating precincts that induce, offer that comparison shopping experience, which induces sales, reflecting what the market wants. So, you know, the principles really don't change. And, you know, probably the big lesson out of retail and leasing is that don't overly customise your centres or shops, because you do need to change the mix on an ongoing basis. So, you know, you want to have some inbuilt flexibility. So it's probably one of the key principles I like to stick to whenever I do, you know, whether it be retail planning or residential or offices or hotels.
At West End, West Melbourne, we have 4,000 square meters of retail.
That's insane.
It worked out quite well. This is a mixed-use project just out of the CBD, but I got to say, with your retail experience, it's been a lot easier because we had a strategy and we had a real clear path of where we're going and how we're getting there. And you ensure that we ignored any distractions or inquiries or leads that didn't really fall into where we were heading. And now we're probably 12 months into the off-the-plan retail leasing campaign here, and we're at 70% leased, with only 2 spaces left for a tavern and a wine bar.
And the wellness offer.
And the wellness offer. So 3 spaces left, which we'll get to those. We won't let you down. Now, almost at the end of the leasing process for West End, what were your learnings out of it, and what would you have done differently other than pay higher fees to your retail leasing agents?
Yes, no, I should have paid higher fees. I wouldn't really change anything. The vision that we have for West End really has come to fruition, I've got to say. and you know, it's been a work of passion and intensity that is now nearly 5 years in the making. So the whole team is quite excited to, you know, finally look at, you know, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel now, and it's a really nice light. And but look, in relation to leasing, we take our retail offer very seriously. Probably in the past, apartments have been so lucrative for developers that retail probably has been more of an infill sort of use. Probably hasn't been respected in terms of the services that you add to the space, the way the shop fronts are designed, the wayfinding, the signage strategy at all. In fact, you know, I'm very lucky because I have two very accomplished retailers as partners in the Victor Smorgon Group, you know, with General Pants and Subi and all those sort of brands, and the Canat family, who, you know, brought Hugo Boss to Australia. They own Ted Baker Menswear, Wolf Canat, Flair Industries. So our consortium take retail, commercial and mixed-use developments very seriously because it comes naturally to us. So we take it seriously, and it's a very important sort of component of all of our developments. Good leasing really is not about only having an excellent agent, and we have an excellent agent in CBRE. It's about the team that supports the agent. So it's all about the right marketing collateral. It's about the right retail design management solution. It's about project management and support, and legal support as well. So good leasing is about a collaborative team approach.
It's been a difficult but a very exciting project to be a part of, and learning from you and your partners.
Retailers are a lot more sophisticated than what sometimes people give them credit for. Retailers are in one of the toughest businesses on the planet, and we respect that. And in order to make it easier for the retailer, you need to have a research-based retail plan. Allows them to understand what the sales potentials are, and then, you know, if you can sort of meet your retail mix to suit that market, retailers respect that. And that's why we've been successful. You know, so the retail plan's been good, the research supports our retail plan, and then it's all about execution.
So 2017, you start selling your apartments off the plan. You get to 100% of pre-sales. 470 apartments in 12 months in West Melbourne is a pretty good outcome. Now, fast forward, you're now in mid-2020, and settlement comes knocking on the door.
Yeah.
How are you going to manage that?
I feel like our group is one of the better managers of settlement risk in the industry, but I found out this year that you know, there have been missed opportunities for us to manage our settlements a lot better.
What do you mean by that?
I think at the time that you do, you exchange your contracts with buyers, represents an amazing opportunity to improve your database and your knowledge of and your purchaser profile, understanding your purchaser profile. That allows you then to have a better grasp of what the issues are come settlement time, that then allows you to find a solution for that particular property that's about to settle. So probably one of the most important lessons I can impart on anyone in this market is that when you're doing your sales, that you use that as an opportunity, you know, to learn what sort of job your purchaser does, what career they're in, are they needing to sell an existing home before they move in? All that sort of information just helps you understand who your buyers are, what are the issues that are going to confront them, and then that'll allow you to come up with a solution to better manage your settlement risk. So that's a pretty important lesson.
A project this size doesn't get built by one man, clearly.
No.
You have a big team around you, which I've had the luxury of meeting most of them.
Yeah.
How do you attract those sorts of people and keep them close to you to finish projects this size?
We're probably in the third most capital intensive industry on the planet. This is 100% a people business. We might be building buildings with concrete and steel and timber and what have you, but it's all about people. The reason why we do very successful developments is we have a very strong tier 1 consultant team. We pay well, we set a vision and a direction, and everyone gets buy-in. It's been working quite well for us.
So during this full-time job and all the distractions and hurdles that came thrown to you during the process, you went out and bought the Hotel Continental in Sorrento, otherwise known as the Conti.
That's right.
You bought it out of receivership,
Yeah.
and you bought it in Sorrento, which comes with its own opportunities and challenges, whilst you're juggling this.
Yeah.
So what's your plan there?
We've been wanting to purchase for a few years
Another site?
property, but we just haven't been competitive because, you know, in a booming market, because all of our purchases in our group and my partners, we require full due diligence to be undertaken on a fully costed feasibility basis. And that has not allowed us to be very competitive over the last few years. But now the market's a lot tougher, and this is where our group is well placed, you know, to make very good acquisitions. And you know, the Conti's really right up our alley. We don't do cookie cutter style developments. It's quite a unique project. It's, you know, arguably, you know, the best regional property outside the Melbourne CBD in Victoria. Almost 150-year history. We really see ourselves as custodians of a property like that for all our stakeholders, and you know, we're really excited by it. It's going to be an unusual development for us because normally we buy land, get a permit, develop, on sell, and then move on. But with the Conti, it's a very important asset for my partners, and I really see myself as the custodian of that particular development. We look forward to owning that for a very long time.
Can you say what you're going to do with it yet?
There's already an endorsed plans on it that we're you know, substantially reviewing. But look, the main change from the endorsed set of plans is a very significant and substantial wellness offer, which includes a series of pools, saunas and steam rooms, along the lines of the sort of wellness offer that you would see produced by the Lefay Group in Italy, or even Air Ancient Sea Baths in New York.